culture is said to be the oil that keeps society running. Tradition and knowledge have also been described in certain quarters as the main pillars of development and sustenance of communities, and that no society can progress in the absence of the two. Culture is an effective tool for development if carefully handled. As a country, we will benefit immensely if we learn to combine effectively neoliberal development with relevant traditional culture. In Ghana, the hub for arts and culture is the Arts Center. Situated right next to the Nkrumah Mausoleum on the John Evans Tamils High Street, is the Center for National Culture, popularly known as the Arts Center in Accra. This edifice has played a pivotal role in the development of creative arts industry and the nation at large. In this day and age, when unemployment remains a challenge, the Arts Center is creating jobs, especially porters, visual artists, traders, dance, and other cultural groups. It also contributes to the growth of GDP since a percentage of the artwork sold at the center goes into the national coffers. The center has diligently served diverse purposes and at the same time a hub for preserving national culture. Well, it seems most Ghanaians or people are oblivious of the significance of the center, and for those who think they do, actually do not tell it all. In this episode, we get to interact with Ghanaians and citizens who started and have witnessed the growth of the center and its diverse impact, not forgetting the challenges faced and the way forward. Since its inception in 1961, the Arts Center has served as a hub for promoting and sustaining culture and has housed thousands of artworks from great creative artists ranging from sculpture, painting, articrafts, and remains the only national gallery for fine art. It also serves as a center for tourist attractions. The center has also been very instrumental in the training of great industry players such as actress and former Deputy Minister for Tourism and Creative Arts, and currently the Member of Parliament for Ketu South constituency, Honorable Jifa Abla Gomashi, actor David Donto, Edina Matachi, Grace Umabo, among others.
All the money in the sea. Yes, I heard it on the radio that the market mummies have thrown them into the sea.
Veteran actor David Donto, one of the many who started their acting career at the center, narrated what he could recall.
The Art Center hosted many of such groups that were coming down. And because of that, we also had, people who were supposed to be local groups that will also entertain Ghanaians at the Art Center when the British left, so that the place will not lie fallow. So the late Dr. F.O. Sutherland was charged with championing what we call the Ghana Theatre Movement in 1958. That's just a year after independence. And the Ghana Theatre Movement was supposed to see to the development of all the forms of theatre. In Ghana, when we talk about theatre, you only think about drama. But we have music theatre, we have dance theatre, we have puppet theatre, we have moped theatre, we have mime theatre. All these are forms of theatre. And so the Arts Council of Ghana under Mr. Casey Hayford at that time sought to establish offices for drama, for music, and for dance. Those are the three major areas of the performing arts, so that people could be groomed, trained, and all that. Later, they formed the Brigade Concert Party. Because the concert party was there, Kwame Nkrumah made a selection of the top artists from all the concert party groups to form the Brigade Concert Party, which was also the Arts Council Concert Party. Now, the Arts Council Concert Party was supposed to be the resident drama group, so to speak, of the Arts Center. Even though there was office for drama, it was only left for, at that time, we only had Ghana Theatre Club, which was also resident in the Arts Center, but they were rehearsing at the rehearsal hall down closer to the beach, behind the Arts Center. So the Arts Council Concert Party became the resident drama group. Now, if we had a resident drama group, then we must have a resident dance group and a resident musical group. But it was a gradual process. So initially they set up the National Folkloric Dance Company. And the National Folkloric Dance Company was actually established, at the Arts Center. And then eventually they had to, so to speak, remove some of the dancers to go and establish dance ensemble at the University of Ghana at Lagos. But eventually when the dancers for the Folkloric Company were growing, they decided to collapse it entirely and then push all the dancers to Lagos to be part of the National Dance Ensemble, which was a national, so to speak, national dance company under Professor Mawere Opoku. Now, when they moved Folkloric Company to the University of Ghana, they didn't replace it. So what happened was that some of the workers at the Art Center and also enthusiasts, people who were interested in dance, and we had a lot of cultural drumming and dancing groups in Accra, especially when 1962 the Obuade brothers, developed what we now know today as Panlogo from the Gombe dance. So there was a flurry of upstring, springing up of new cultural drumming and dancing groups in Bukom, Jamestown, Osu, and all those places. So they decided to take over the place by coming there to rehearse and then to be used for various programs at the Arts Center. And that is how, people started streaming in to the Arts Center to make use of the facility, because there's a theater. In fact, there are two theaters, one open air and one covered. And then the grounds behind the building and also in front of the building. So there was a time when there were about 29 cultural drumming and dancing groups in Accra alone that were being used. In fact, I hosted Anansi Chrome. They used to have a program called Anansi Chrome. We hosted Anansi Chrome, and most of these groups were actually featured, on Anansi Chrome program. Fair, Loy, Chirem, what do you call it, Ablade, all those groups. Even Wulome. Before Wulome became Wulome, they were actually performing at the Arts Center. And Sakakwe, who took them on a tour of the US in 1977, saw the talent, saw the interest, that people had in this thing, so decided to groom them and take them out on a tour. That was dance. Then drama, there was the Ghana Theatre Club. That was the first theatre club, so to speak, that was formed in Ghana under the tutelage of Emery Brown, with members like William Abilkine, Solomon Sampa, Robertson, Crab, and I was lucky to have come to meet all these people because I also came to join them, to do plays and things like that. When Kwame Nkrumah gave out, as the late Dr. Efo Sutherland to start the Ghana theatre movement, he also sent groups, artists outside the country. Some were supposed to be set designers, like Kwawansa was a set designer who was sent to California. He sent actors like George Wilson, Frances Say, Kobana London, Adelaide Amagache, and all those people to go to London School of Drama to go and learn, you know, all the rudiments of good theater production and drama and all those things as actors. He sent Ebo Taylor to London School of Music to go and do music. In fact, his classmate, so to speak, at London School of Music was Fela Ransom Kuti or Fela Anikulapo Kuti, you know. And then dancers, he also sent Professor Mawiro Poku, Ampofu Dodu, and you know Newman and all those people out, Margaret Kwakwa, to go and also polish their dancing and bring the scale back to handle the Ghana Dance Ensemble at Legon, because by then the school of drama music had been established. It was when they sent the dance ensemble there that became drama music and drama music and dance. But all these are performing arts, so they named the School of Performing Arts at the University of Ghana under the Department of African Studies. So if you go to Legon, you will see that African Studies and School of Performing Arts, they share the same compound. To people at the Art Center. So Art Center is not only for stage performance, it's also for film shows. So these things were all going on. But unfortunately, like I was saying, when the coup, 1966 coup came, everything ground to a halt. Because as part of the 7-year development plan for Ghana at that time, Kwame Nkrumah had seen that, the Art Center was serving the people of Accra so well. So if you build theaters in all the districts in Ghana, it will serve the same purpose for people there because they didn't have entertainment. It was only the concert parties who were doing what we call a kangaroo tour. They go and then they don't have anywhere to perform, so they will go to a compound house. They will close the main gate, arrange it in the center of the house, and then they will do the concert party there. So Kwame Nkrumah thought it would be good for us to have a theater in every district of this country. Meanwhile, he was also building the GET schools that had stage for schools to also do theater. So the schools, because they had stages for doing theater, the Arts Council or the Arts Center started Second Cycle Schools Drama Festival. That was happening at the Arts Center. Now, when after the coup and things settled, of course work was going on. The Arts Council was still doing its own activities of music, dance, drama, whatever, and they kept inviting, or groups kept coming down to Ghana to perform. And because that was the only, so to speak, proper conventional theater in Ghana, all the groups that came to Ghana were performing there. Culture group from India, I hosted them at the Art Center. Culture group from China, I hosted them at the Art Center. Culture group from Russian Army Band, I hosted them at the Art Center. American Navy Band, I hosted them at the Art Center. Even I have a feature with him. I hosted Jimmy Cliff at the Art Center. When Rita Marley came to Ghana first, she came to the Art Center. Judy Boucher came to the Art Center. So you can imagine the number of artists who have passed through Art Center on that stage that you see there like that. But the Art Center at that time, quote unquote, like it was a national theater. Because there was no other better, conventional theater in Ghana, than the Art Center.
This is the story, according to him. How about his other colleagues? To avoid the damages of one-sided story, I paid a visit to Sidney Kesley Hayford, who is one of the 5 sons of the then executive director of the center. For him and his brothers, the Art Center was their home.
My father is B.T. Kesley Hayford. You've probably seen that in most of the write-ups recently. He was the first director of the Arts Center. We grew up as a family, living in the Arts Center complex. Our home is now what is the Accounts and Finance Office of the Arts Center. When you go to the Arts Center, and you go into the auditorium. You go into the auditorium and you look over the balcony. You will see a house placed right behind the balcony. It's a very, very old-fashioned house with beautiful balustrades, and everything is nicely finished. I grew up in the art center from the ages of 5, 6, all the way until my father was posted to Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC. We were 4 brothers. My kid brother wasn't born then, but we were 4 brothers, and our daily activity was in that arena. But mostly we used to go down to the back of the art center, where they have training theaters, dancing, and everything. And people would come there to learn the various Ghanaian dances, and we would go and sit there and watch them. And occasionally they would do a little practice with some plays that were coming up and stuff like that. So that's how we grew up, and mostly outdoor stuff and working. The arts and crafts came later. It's something that started growing, and it was encouraged to grow, and now it has taken over practically half of the grounds that we used to own. I use own in the playful sense. So that's how I grew up, and I grew up knowing that the pathway to the arts center, we used to get into it by climbing the wall on the back and then jumping over the wall, and we would go and watch plays and drama and things like that for free. And not that we would be asked to pay anyway, because we were the chief executive's children, but it was just fun to climb the wall and go and sit there and watch the plays. Highlight of our activity, of course, was when the American jazz drama Cozy Cole came up. We went and we watched. Sachimo, Louis Armstrong, was also there. We had a wonderful time watching night after night with his improvisations. Miriam Makeba, she came around. We went and we watched. My father was very, very keen on educative culture. In those days, school programs were all about the set books that were being taught. So we used to watch the Shakespeare theaters there. We used to watch Gilbert and Sullivan. And then somewhere down the line, my father started promoting local culture and the local plays. So we used to go and watch all the local dramas, and it was very interesting because it was very different from what we were used to traditionally. So we kind of fell into that space, and we enjoyed all of those activities as they were coming up. I started what we called Anansi Krom in the art center, and we started promoting school bands, and we started promoting school dramas, and we started promoting competitive activity in the schools, and this went on for years. We used to jam the art center with all the music and the competitions and everything else, and we would have schools coming from all over Accra and all over the rest of the country. When they would come and they would compete, and we would always have some very interesting music, both music that was created and music that was copied and music that was mimicked, and we had a whale of a time in those days. Every weekend the art center would be jammed, with all of us children. Should I be calling them children? Students. And we had a good time, and that was principally how I knew the art center, and that is how we grew up.
academician, writer, educationalist, and human rights activist at the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana, credited with more than 50 publications in the areas of education policy, higher education, female education, literature, theater and culture, and daughter of writer and cultural activist Afua Sutherland. Professor A.C. Sutherland Addy revealed to me that the place served as a nightclub sort of for the Europeans in its early days.
So the Art Center of Ghana was initially actually a club called the Ruja Club that the colonial civil servants, senior civil servants and so on used to go there. It was a place where they used to go to have a drink, but also performances were done, by the Europeans. It was basically a European club house, and so Africans were not allowed to actually go there for many years. Eventually, at independence, it was turned into the Art Center of Ghana, and we had the Arts Council, and the Arts Council had been set up by the government to coordinate arts activities in Ghana. So it also became a meeting place for writers and theatre people and so on. So it was central to the development of the modern arts in Ghana. It evolved, over time into a place where it could be hired by various companies to do their work, but it also had resident companies. I think there was the Ghana Folkloric Company and so on, who were resident there, and that was way before the National Theatre was built. So you had the Art Center at the time, and then you also had the Ghana Drama Studio, which had been established by Afua Sutherland on what was the Olympics Park, that's opposite Movenpick today, where the National Theatre is today. But it's played a central role in terms of having for people to have their entertainment basically, and for the development of the arts. Over a period, we did have a time when arts activities were a bit curtailed. So in the late 1970s and the early 1980s, you would have seen that the facility was running down. It picked up, and many companies talk about a certain important plays being done there, the Black Star. I remember the Black Star. I remember David Dongto was in the company. Some of the what's his name now? I'll come up with his name. One of Evans Hunter, for example, was a very, very great actor, and so on. Some of these actors were well known on that scene. We also had the development of a government arts program, Anansi Pum, which was done every week and was very highly patronized. A variety show really of artists. So there was drama, there were the variety shows and so on. Eventually concert party was also being done there. So it was sort of a popular spot and run by the state. And when in the late 1980s, mid to late 1980s, when the idea of Centers for National Culture were developed under the auspices of the National Commission on Culture, the Art Center now became the Center for National Culture, Accra. Each center was supposed to promote the arts of the region. So typically you should be able to go there and they should be able to tell you which the amateur groups, dance, drama, music, they should be able to let you know the festivals and so on that are going on. They would have, what do you call them? They would have exhibitions of paintings and sculpture, and so basically showcasing, the arts of the region. And in the case of the art center in Accra, of course, or the Center for National Culture, it had, because it was in Accra, it also had a wider perspective. They eventually developed a shop, where you could buy elements and various artistic artifacts and paintings, etc., etc.
Obi Benanso yeseni mobile ira na yebesre. This time chrono na ba na nye hu se mobile. Hey, Messia ye de sime. O kala o hwem na kwa.
To the high life legend and icon Manziba, the art center was and remains an enclave for people to express their artistic activity and craft.
The art center has always been an enclave for people who will always want to find ways of expressing their artistic, activities. And it was actually a haven. It was a place where, artists and, well, there are so many people who fall within the description of what an artist is, and people will not necessarily take a pen or a paper or paint to do anything, but in their conception, mentally, what they talk about exudes art. So these people will normally gather at places like that, because my vivid recollection of what the art center really was is that when we were kids, we were born in Accra, they didn't go down, so we played a lot of quite a number of truancies. Wababoko, we go around, and these are the areas that we used to go to. And so because we were kids, you would not be permitted to go in there, because adults have met and they're enjoying themselves. So like if you are about 7, 8, 9 going up there, you don't have a place there, of course. So it was a place that we held dearly in our hearts, because everybody, when we passed and we saw some of the actors and we heard some of the music that went on, well, arguably music was, afforded a limited space, but I don't think it was intentional, you understand. But anyway, so then that is what would actually spur us on to dream that would want to be on a stage like that. So it was actually a place where people drew a lot of inspirations, and then it aspired them to become what they really and truly were called for. If it was in the theater, on the drama stage, or on the musical stage. So quite a number. And I remember when we were in secondary school, getting to the late 70s, we saw many bands, school bands I'm talking about. Very, very, very professional school bands. When you say 14, 15, 16-year-old, boys and ladies. I remember, I think Holy Child or Wesley Girls, one of them had a girl group and stuff like that. And, it was a time where, the art was basically a social tool that when people get tired and get bored, or anything unfortunate should happen to anybody, you take solace from the activities in the art center the art center. And so if I would even dwell on personal experience, I was on a stage, was it 78? Yes, I was on the stage as a lead singer for Christian Methodist, which was my school, my alma mater. So, and it was such a fantastic experience, because, hey, you have never in your life been on stage before, and at that very tender age too, you're standing on the stage and doing and to the delight. Every school that performed really performed, and it was keenly contested.
Indeed, art is a social tool.
I say, oh, not so bad. Yeah. And how do you do? Huh? I said, how do you do? Do. Oh, good God of God. Do. Minia. Some of one say, yeah. Say, see, I'm watching me. No crap. I'm in difficulty. I'm telling you, friend. I'm telling you. Yeah. Me watching me. Now, and then you could what light a lie. Okohini or something that's a 4 o'clock. Look, my pocket. Empty. That is empty barrels make the most sound. Yeah. Me pacho baby. Madam for pano. Ti unto me mwami kakrelia. Aya me mafem.
According to a Ghanaian author, poet, playwright, and former Minister of Education under J.J. Rawlings' administration, Professor Ama Ata Edu, it was a home for producers, directors, actors, and actresses.
It's been there from a long time ago. I believe it was one of the structures that Kwame Nkrumah, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, or Dr. Kwame Nkrumah established as part of Ghana's cultural infrastructure. And we've been using the Art Center as a venue for all manner of artistic events. In fact, the National Theatre has now become the venue for what was produced or whatever happened at the Art Center and the Ghana Drama Studio. The Art Center is a place where we used to produce, like I said, all manner of plays. So it was the home of both playwrights, all manner of playwrights, as well as producers, directors, actors, and actresses. And when you talk about the Art Center, you have to also remember to talk to mention names like Efwa Sutherland, Joe DeGraft, Kofi Awono, Fifi Hesse, David Kwabnanan, Bill Marshall. All these people are connected in one way or the other with the Art Center, because they either wrote the plays or were the producers and directors and of the plays. And there were, I think, musicians who performed there, like Konimo and other people. Some of the young people at the time, young people who were involved in the drama as actresses include someone like Frances Faye. And all of these people, also interestingly enough, came from what we now know as the School of Performing Arts in Lagos.
A seller by named Naa Momoye shares memories of the place when she started to trade there.
Maybe a net of 70 ne no chula mbani na ibie mana ani hon lo mokokura hon ni ebie fe obrayo kombepe hon ketie eskitie ya mokome hon tofi be ni kente bi e ba me da tun ame here e bom aba pa ka o ma min kra me pa cho Mami krami pacho me the best see walk I come see. Honey me ya drying. Just my hair pattern na me di niama. Akika oh would you be fa would ya obin family. Na me ke ba to ntwe me. Hu ka si be ni director ko ba de ga oyo ne. Bono o shin me mpo yo osumo gbomo. Again, I can be a thing. Can't pay Kwame. I mean, I can be a more day, Yayini. Me, I'm a more day, Yayini. Come about Muhammad. A war by Niman Papa like a match. Let him match on me. Can be warm. She be a buffet. Went to Ninja Rest House. Can lot to be a by wool. Nay, I mean in the share no name by war game. General Sarah be a no let by sponsor. Catty cast near your Jamitroni, Western Housing, a ministries. A best important period of the beer. I mean, more commerce and more again. Babao, she is a nanny.
Dancing coach for folkloric dancing group, Mr. Michael Ayes, said the government's refusal to invest into the center has rendered the place obsolete.
Every Saturday, National Theatre. Now me get the way now far back Nuchumo by Nuchumo Naka. Why? Because the government is any lady and check I will me take or culture me or Minister of Tourism one Nuchumo fly culture side there. You will back government if I make we are ever ready. Always say 1 years. Come me Nuchumone.
What you heard is just the beginning of the Art Center story. Presently, the situation is a sharp contrast. Meet Naa Anyema, an art enthusiast who tells me his opinion on the current happenings of the Art Center.
To what we see now, when you come to the art center, you see less activities, less artistic activities, and I think that hinges, the reason we have seen less activities may hinge on certain factors that I believe the management of the place will be in best position to answer. But as an arts lover like me, I feel the place needs to be lively. There should be more activities going on, more drama, more arts-related activities. We should come and see more performances, more plays, you know, as the place used to be.
For him, a lot can be done to revamp the place.
In my capacity, I can only urge the managers of the place and then governments, because I feel this is a government agency and the government needs to support this place adequately in terms of resources, facilities, funding, and then the needed attention that they deserve. Because I'm sure this institution has a bigger role to play. I think it contributes to our national economy, it contributes to education, it contributes to our society, it contributes to our well-being, entertainment as well as a people. You know, a lot of the time when they mention the arts, entertainment is what comes in mind of people. But I mean, children who partake into library activities and music and other drama activities have a high level of literacy attainments. Okay, so if we should focus or channel more energy, resources and attention to institutions like this, give them the support, the needed support to come up with events. I have heard of the pop chain that used to be organized here. If you have conversations with the older folks, they'll tell you drama competitions where renowned acts or artists were unearthed from here, but little can be told. And I mean, now we cannot speak so much on how many talents have been unearthed in recent times as compared to in the past. We know the likes of David Dontos had grazed through here. This place had been a nurturing ground for the likes of the Saka Akwe's, who founded the Wulome and then performed one of his notable plays, which is The Lost Fisherman, here as well. It's been a long while we've had such performances here. So I believe the management and the handlers of the place must be up and doing in ensuring that such activities are revived.
After the conversation, I left the place wondering what the future holds. Whose duty is to develop the place? Artist, government, or a collective responsibility will be the question for the day.
Nagbe wa you know,